Call to order the regular meeting of the April 5th, 2023 Fitchburg Conservation Commission. The commission has 7 members. Members are citizens residing in Fitchburg, Mass. The commission is appointed by the City Council and serves on a volunteer basis. The commission collaborates with the residents, businesses, and organizations to facilitate compliance with the 8 interests of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Fitchburg Wetlands Bylaw. Meetings of this commission are subject to and abide by the open meeting law. If you would like more information about any of these regulations, feel free to ask a commissioner, our agent, or environmental consultant. Thank you for your commitment to the conservation of our natural resources. Thank you for your patience as we navigate this hybrid meeting. The commission requests that folks wishing to speak approach the podium and speak clearly into the microphone, and remote attendees maintain microphones on mute for privacy. As a remote attendee, if you would like to speak, please use the raise your hand function. The chat function is disabled for this evening, and so we want you to be able to alert us of your intention to speak. Be advised this public meeting is being live streamed and recorded by FATV. If a member of the in-person audience is recording this meeting, this is your opportunity to identify yourself for the public record. So let's call the roll. Commissioner Breaux. Commissioner Baker.
Here.
Commissioner Christian.
Here.
Commissioner Donnelly.
Here.
Commissioner Helene.
Here.
Commissioner Jacobs.
Here.
Chair is in attendance. I didn't see any minutes. Were there minutes?
I'm sorry, we do not.
Okay, no, I just wanted to check. Okay, so we'll move forward. Abutter notification cards. We've already received, let's see, the hearing won't open without abutter notification cards. So for Platinum Development LLC, we've already received those. And then let's move forward. Do we want to introduce, would you like to introduce?
Sure.
Or put you on the spot.
Sure, no problem. Commissioners and anyone in the audience, we do have a new principal planner who is serving as the staff to the conservation agent. She's sitting to my right. Chantel Fleck joined us about a month ago, and she's got many years of experience as a town and city planner. So we're happy to have Chantel, and we look forward to having a long duration of working with you guys and Chantel.
Thank you, Liz.
Well, welcome, Chantel.
Thank you.
So moving forward, under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will open the hearing for Notice of Intent, Platinum Development, LLC, 93 Gibson Road, driveway crossing and single-family dwelling in the buffer zone. Who do we have here to speak tonight?
Mike Kurgowski.
Okay, Mr. Kurgowski. All right, so where are we on this?
I presented last week into the system the specs for the bridge.
So you should have a package that has the specifications for the bridge. Oh, Chantel's got them right there. So that's the full 20, is that the full 24 pages?
I'll tell them all set I'm online.
That was received, I can't tell you if it was within 7 days, but it was certainly in time for the meeting. You might be able
Visit came in on Monday,
Okay, it came in on Monday.
so material had already gone out in the packets, and the bridge plans came in on Monday.
Correct. So they are on the web page. If you want to look at the full packet, it is on the web page. We printed out just the drawings because the full package is 24 pages. Yeah. But we do have one copy of the full package.
Thank you. I don't need to see it yet. Okay. All right. So do we have, is Nick Erickson here tonight? in
Nick is
attendance?
on, yep.
Okay, good. And who else do we have in attendance? Is Mr. Smith here?
Yes, Mr. Smith is
Okay.
on.
Just for the record. All right. So my first question for you, Mr. Kragowski, is are you compliant with the local stormwater standards and the local wetlands bylaws?
Yes, I believe so, based on our conversations in past meetings.
Mr. Gregowski, is Mr. Popham going to be on tonight, do you know?
No.
Are you prepared to answer the technical questions that we may have as it pertains to the bridge and the plot plan?
I believe they were answered last week or last month.
We probably have some more questions, so if your engineer is not here to answer those, how do we proceed?
I'll answer them to the best of my ability.
Okay.
So it's your choice to move forward.
Yep.
Okay. So, let's see. We did receive some correspondence from Mr. Popham that was in the packet, and did everyone get a chance to read that correspondence? All right. So let's see here. Let's open the floor for public comment. Do we have anyone that would like to speak in favor of or against this hearing, or would like to request more information? There is no one in person. Do we have anyone on attending remote that has questions or would like?
Not that I see at this time.
Okay. Hearing none from the public, let's turn to the commission. Do we have any commission members with questions for Mr. Kragowski?
Do we want to start with Mr. Smith and Mr. Erickson, and then we can drop in after?
Okay. Mr. Smith, are you?
Yes. Actually, I was going to ask to get the ball rolling. So I hadn't reviewed these latest plans. I'm pleased to see, however, that these plans are stamped by a professional registered engineer, which is something I know that the commission would have asked for. But I do have just a quick question about the drawing. So the drawing shows, it almost appears from the drawing that the footings are being located where the banks are. And I think that's probably not the case, because it's still, the old plan had the bridge was 12 feet wide. There was 12 feet of clearance between the two sides of the box culvert. But based on that drawing, though, in the stream was 2.5 feet. I guess the question is, are the footings in the banks or disturbing the bank? Because before, what we were told was that this bridge would span the stream and not alter the banks.
Yeah, so this drawing is a little different because it was the best option that we had, and the clearance is going to be well past the stream, so it should not be an issue.
Do we know what the distance is from footing to footing?
Well, you got 12 feet here, so minus 1.5 feet on each side, so you got 9 feet.
Okay. The chair had asked at the beginning of the meeting about the stormwater standards. So with regard to the stormwater standards, Fitchburg is somewhat unique. The State Wetlands Protection Act gives basically a waiver to meeting the stormwater standards for a single-family home. However, the local Fitchburg Wetland Protection Ordinance does not give the waiver. So even if it's a single-family home, it does need to comply with the stormwater standards. Was there a submittal to show compliance with the stormwater standards?
So last month, we spoke about this, and my engineer had explained that this is the procedure in this situation, and it's been done multiple times. And, you know, based on the stream, I mean, it's 4 inches of water. It's not, you know, it's not going to, in no way is it going to be ever 5 feet to the bottom of the bridge.
Yeah, there's a little confusion. I think when we speak about the stormwater standards, we're talking about the stormwater standards, so that you're looking at, for example, the amount of impervious area that's added to the site. And one of the standards is that the post rate of stormwater runoff must be equal or less than the pre-development rate of stormwater runoff. So those are the standards that I'm referring to.
Well, in speaking with my engineer before this meeting, in his 45-minute monologue last month, I believe we covered all of this. And as we both have believed, this particular meeting, you know, when we left off last month, the situation was to present the specs, which we have here. So I believe everything is covered in last week's meeting, which can, you know, should be covered in the minutes. So I don't have anything to add to that because it's already been covered.
Well, it sounds like the answer is no. You haven't submitted documentation showing that the project is in compliance with the stormwater standards. That's what I'm hearing.
Because it's been satisfied from last month, as we believe.
Mr. Smith, if I can interrupt here, in the letter from Mr. Popham, we have number 3, a stormwater report is not required by the regulations, the state regulations, but you are required with the local regulations, the Fitchburg stormwater regulations. I mean, that is something that it's fully documented. So if you want to, Mr. Kurgowski, if you'd like to hold off on this until Mr. Popham is available,
well,
we're welcome to do that.
Okay, so at this point in time, I'd like to request everything that the Conservation Commission needs me to be completed before the next meeting, so that we can, you know, so I don't have to come back here and have the Conservation Commission tell me, well, you know, we need this thing, and then come back and then say we need this, and then come back and say we need this. So I have a complete list of everything that you guys are requesting, so I can get this wrapped up and ready to go. Because as of last month, you know, the situation was, you know, you want the specs, so we got you the specs. And the month before that, it was, you know, we want a game plan, so we gave the bridge. So, you know, we're 4 months into this, and now we need this other, you know, documentation that me and my engineer both believed had been covered in the last meeting in his 45-minute monologue. So, you know, if you want that, that's fine. But if you want other documentation that's going to be asked for next month, I would like you to just send me an email saying everything that you want, you know, this week or whenever, so I can get this done. I think that's fair.
Mr. Kurgowski, you're welcome to work with the Community Development Office to develop an understanding of what needs to be submitted for your application to make it complete.
May I?
Please, go ahead.
So I did just talk to Nick. He had lost service momentarily, so he had texted me. And I do believe that he still needs a stormwater management plan submitted to DPW. So he does not believe that they have that yet.
Thank you. So, Mr. Kurgowski, you are welcome to work with the Office of Community Development to make sure that your application is complete. And if you would like to continue this to next month, that's your choice.
Madam Chair,
Will do.
can I just make a point also? Mr. Kwiatkowski, I'm sorry there's been some misunderstanding, but just because you file an application doesn't mean that the commission is not going to have questions about what you filed. And we're still at that point. We asked for certification on the bridge, and you provided that. But along with that comes additional questions as to how that's going to be applied to the lot. And those questions are still going to need to be answered. This is not that you can just submit another blueprint. This is not that you can submit another narrative. Someone has to be here to answer the questions that the commission has. And if you're able to do that, fine, or your engineer has to do that, fine. But there isn't a specific list that said you can produce this document, and this document, and you're done. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
And that's, like, just to circle back, that's, my engineer and I had the understanding that all the questions were answered last month because, it was back and forth for 45 minutes, and he had answered multiple questions.
But now there's new questions as far as the bridge plan. Now so one option leads to the next, and that still all needs to be answered before this process can be completed. And I'm sorry you misunderstood that you thought everything was done. We thought we were pretty clear when we left what had to be done, what documents we were still looking for, but that didn't mean all our questions were answered.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Please work with the office to make sure you have everything in place.
Yeah, I'll be into the office and see what else we're required to do.
You can see from on the city website where the local regulations and bylaws are.
Yeah, I'll just, no, it's fine. I can come into the office, and so everybody has a complete understanding. That's fine.
So, Madam Chair, do we not get to, Commissioner Helene is on. Herlene is on with questions, and we still have questions from what was submitted now. Are we not going to be able to get those answered? Or do we need to have the engineer in place? The questions that I have, I don't think the planning board can say, or the community development office can say, here, this is what we need. Liz does not know what my question is going to be. And I'm sorry, Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead,
it's
Commissioner
fine.
Helene.
So we got through this question that Tim had, right? And this gentleman here is asking for all of our sort of questions that have arisen tonight so that he can get an answer and submit the proper documents. So is there anything else? I personally don't have a question, but just to facilitate so that he can submit his documents, come back and answer all of our questions. Was there anything else that Tim sees in the plans that as submitted tonight that raised questions besides just, what he was asking before?
Thank you, Commissioner Helene. Mr. Smith?
Yeah, so part of the issue is this, the plans that are on the screen right now are the first time I've even seen these plans. I'm pleased to see that it has a PE stamp. I know that was a big issue that was raised at the last meeting. I'm pleased to see it. It used to be that the height of the bridge was 5 feet 5 inches. The standard for large wildlife is 6 feet, so it's now compliant with the standard in the stream crossing standards. for large wildlife crossing. So there's, and the footings are, before the footings were stone, and now it looks like they're, well, they're still stone, but it seems like the footings are definitely larger than they were. So it looks like a number of improvements, and I would recommend that Nick Erickson review these drawings, and so there might be further comments from Nick after he takes a look at these drawings. But the only really issue I had, the remaining issue, was the stormwater standards.
Certainly. So you can refer to the local stormwater standards and the local wetlands bylaw to make sure you're compliant with those, because it looks like you were compliant with the state, but we also have our own bylaws here in Fitchburg.
Okay.
So, Commissioner Donnelly, did you have a question?
I did. Happy to see the culvert foundation. So there was a change in it. It shows a poured concrete footing.
Correct.
And a little question I have is in one narrative, it said it would be at grade, and then the picture that we have in front of us shows 12 inches below grade. And a little thing like that need to be addressed. Just explain, that's all.
Yeah, so this is how this particular company designs this. When Mr. Popham designed it, it was based on a different company, and this company is a lot more available to easier get products. So this is, I had asked them if they could design it similar, and they said they designed that with those footings. So that's the situation that we're in. I think it's a better situation all around anyway, and I feel a lot more comfortable. I mean, either way, they're both rated the same as far as H20 for triaxle trucks and, et cetera, but this is something that makes me as a builder feel more comfortable anyways as far as traffic going over it. So
I was happy to see that as well. It shows a depth of 12 inches.
correct.
So what? Well, I bet the Conservation Commission doesn't want to see you back in 5, 10, or 15 years to replace the bridge because of either heaving or settling. Mm-hmm. So the soil beneath it, I was of the impression that the soil might be saturated, and maybe it is, but it's gravel. I saw all of the test holes or whatever, all of the spills, the spoilings. Far be it for me to tell you what element of compaction is necessary to support that bridge at 12 inches below grade from frost or settling. But that was a concern, because either one of those may have you back here, and what it does, it's just a further intrusion on the brook. That's all. And I want it to be. I'm happy to see the footing. Mm-hmm. That's what I would need for the next meeting, something like that. I have some assurance.
Okay.
I got the stamp is on the optimal installation. I get it, with no condition for the soil underneath it.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, I would just remind the commission that we recently dealt with the bridge at Arbor Way, that because of the disrepair, or because the bridge wasn't either A, it wasn't constructed properly, or B, it wasn't designed properly, one of the two, the bridge is now in disrepair, and a significant amount of wetland is going to need to be filled because of that. So it makes sense to really review the design carefully, so make sure we don't have a repeat of that problem that we had on Arbor Way.
Okay, so just as a response, this bridge is constructed for this specific reason, to go exactly as we're putting it. So we're going to be putting this bridge in exactly to specs as it was designed for. So, and, so I don't believe there'll be frost heaving, because it's exactly designed how we're installing it. Is that, you follow?
I do. It's about frost line.
Okay.
Above or below frost line, it's about saturated soils or hard and dry soils. I don't have the answer. I'm skeptical.
Okay.
And I'm sharing it with you. You just heard, you should have heard that loud and clear, where we're going to lose a chunk of wetlands on a bridge only 20 years old, and it's huge. This is a drop in the bucket, but we don't want to go there.
Right, no,
And you don't want to go there.
exactly.
Yeah.
Commissioner Christian? Okay, so can we have a motion to continue the, oh,
I have
yes.
some additional questions, if I may.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jacobs.
Sorry, thank you. Mr. Kukowski, are your intentions now to add this new bridge design to a new set of plans for the entire lot so that we can see all the elevations as they're in place?
That's not my intention at this time because they're very minor changes. I don't think that would be a necessary thing to do. I mean, if it's,
Aren't you going to
Talking
have to do something? I would
6 to 8
expect that the
inches.
building department is probably going to require you to have the plans. We want to be able to reference, this is what we're conditioning on, for one thing, a set of plans, and this is what it entails. The set of plans that are submitted, that are on the screen right now, do not include the bridge. This is with the culvert. There's some additions. We've now determined that it is an intermittent stream rather than a swale. So the suggestion would be to have the plans updated, because you're going to need that anyway.
they've been updated. They should be in the system. We've done it 2 months ago.
This is
And
the latest plan that we have.
Well, I have a plan here with a bridge on it that I submitted 2 months ago. So there's 2 sets of plans, one with the culvert, and there should be another one that we had on the screen 2 months ago with the
But it was the bridge not that is being proposed right now. It was the bridge that Mr. Popham presented at last month's meeting in a different fashion. So then my other question leading up to that is, your intent is to bring in fill, of course, on either side of the bridge.
Correct.
Okay? How are you going to stabilize that fill to keep it out of the wetland, not out of the stream? Are you planning on riprap? Is there anything that's going on to stabilize that fill?
So, yeah, we're planning on riprap, as I believe Mr. Popham had, that question, I believe, was asked and answered last meeting. Because I do remember that vividly. So, I believe that's what that was.
Could you reflect that on the plan that was just requested? Could that, because it's not reflected on a plan, right? It was verbally shared. I'll grant that. Could it be represented on the plan?
Folks, I do have a bridge plan detail here. Is that what you're referencing?
Yeah, I'm
This is
pulling,
just
I'm
for the
pulling that
bridge
up
plan.
now. I'll share it in a minute, but it's substantially different than the new plan that we have now. The new bridge crossing is much better. Hold on one second, let me call this up.
So, just to clarify, are we referencing a plan similar to what was up there, or a plan similar to what Chairwoman was holding?
This is the plan that Mr. Popham submitted last month, that was the original bridge crossing. But what we have now, which we assume, this is one of the things why your plans need to be updated for both us and what's going forward in building. This is not the bridge that you're going to use. You're going to use the bridge plan that we got this week, which is substantially better than what's here, but it's totally different. You can see how there's the hard footing that was all going to be stone compacted. I mean, it's substantially different. So the plan, I would think, needs to be updated, if everyone else agrees that the new bridge that you presented tonight should be reflected in the entire site plan.
And as far as the second site plan, that has, the dimensions are all the same, so can we see if that, I mean, I don't see that being updated because On here, it's three-sided bridge, 6'6" by 13-foot long, so that's basically what we have here. I'm talking about the other plan, similar to what we had up there, but the one that was submitted secondarily.
All right, I'm not sure
Commissioner
which.
Donnelly?
Yeah, if we could use some dates. The plan that you have in front of you is dated November 4, 2022? November 4, 2022?
For the whole site plan, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Page 1. And then page 2 had the old bridge. You passed in an addendum, open bottom culvert, Lamar Concrete Products.
Correct.
As an addition. I believe what the commission is asking is page 1, the November 4, 2022, showed a culvert, didn't even show the other bridge that we've since pushed aside. I guess we're looking for a plan, or I would be looking for a plan that shows the new open bottom culvert bridge in some specific, well, excuse me, the detail of the bridge exists, you gave that to us, but on a comprehensive plan beyond November 4, 2022.
Similar to this one, correct?
Okay.
Right, with that,
Yeah.
with the new
Sure.
bridge incorporated
Yeah.
into that.
And are there elevations there?
Yes, that's part of the problem, is that then we can see the new bridge with elevation.
So is it that we just don't have that plan?
It's been submitted to the system.
Okay.
It was a month after this, or 2 months, it was, the second meeting, we had looked at it. So this is the first plan that's been submitted into the system. I can't delete them from the system, otherwise I would have, so that we can avoid this confusion. I have it in my hand, it's submitted into the system.
The confusion is I don't have it in my hand. Not your problem. Well, it is your problem,
Correct.
but
Well,
I don't have it. I have a November 4th plan. I don't have that plan. That's all. That's what my questions would be based off a hard copy.
Well, I understand that, but it's been dissected here 2 months ago. So
But I
we-
don't have, even in the documents that we have in the system,
If I can interrupt here, Mr. Erickson has his hand up, and he might have some insight to this. Mr. Erickson?
Thank you, Tracy. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I just received the updated culvert detail earlier this week, so I haven't had a chance to fully go through it. And that culvert detail appears that it shows very well what the structural design of the culvert is, the opening size of the culvert, the size of the footings, and some of the calculations supporting the H20 loading for that size. What it doesn't reflect is how that culvert is being integrated into the overall site. So I believe that the request by the commissioners previous to me coming on right now is valid. We need to see exactly how that culvert is being integrated into the site. So there's been previous cross-sections and details shown for the previous culvert design that doesn't include the footings and it doesn't include a few other things. So I think what's being asked is that these plans be updated to show how that latest culvert detail is being incorporated into the overall site. On the back side of the culvert, what level is the fill being brought up to? How deep is the cover over those footings? What's being done around the footings down into the channel for riprap? So those details that were reflected on the previous plans just need to be updated with the most recent detail that's been provided. In addition, I know that a professional engineer has stamped that culvert detail, but they have not stamped the overall site plan. The plan that's on there that we have right now shows a registered sanitarian as a stamp, which is valid for the septic system design, but for the rest of that site, the bridge design and everything, culvert design, that's not a valid stamp for that. So the overall site plan needs to be updated to incorporate the latest culvert design, and the whole thing needs to be stamped by a PE.
Okay,
So as soon as that is prepared, I'm happy to review it and offer final comments. But that's what I need in my mind to sign off on this.
Okay, so just to answer those 2 points, the site plan has been submitted, and we went over it, and that question regarding my engineer has been talked about last month as well. And as far as I believe, it was satisfactory, so I don't have any further comment. I don't,
So, Mr. Gregowski, are you telling us you won't adjust the site plan as
It's-
Mr. Erickson just asked?
I've submitted it. I mean, I can give it to you right now. I've submitted it. It's in this is not the right one. This is the first plan I've uploaded.
But it doesn't reflect the new box culvert that's being put in.
I understand what you're telling me. And this box culvert, the dimensions are the same. It's on my plan that I've submitted.
Mr. Kurgowski, we have a comment from,
Can you tell us when you submitted it? Like, was it within the last week?
No.
Okay. So it wasn't, and I'm asking because we have a staff that's been out sick, and if it was submitted to her
Yeah.
in the last week, then we haven't put it up. But
So
what was up there was from the 329 meeting. That's the latest one we have.
This site plan is
Not
the
the same
only
one I
one
have.
that's in our documentation, and it's dated 1/12/23. The site plan, the comprehensive site plan has not been updated since this point. Then if you have it all done, then submit it. If you have the box culvert indicated and it matches the culvert that you're submitting tonight, the bridge, then submit it for our review.
I'll submit it again, I guess.
thank you, Mr. Kurgowski. So just to start, we need some documentation that are compliant with the local stormwater standards, the local wetlands bylaw, and the updated plans. And then Mr. Erickson needs to see a stamp on those updated plans by a professional engineer, a structural engineer, I think.
Mr. Erickson was clear. He needs to see the application of the culvert in the plan.
I'll submit it again.
And it needs to go to Mass DEP. We asked for that last month. The plan and the crossing has to be approved by Mass DEP.
Okay? It's been sent. I'll just,
They have nothing as of last week. And I spoke to them last week. There's no new plan from the notice of intent.
okay, I'll figure it out. That's good.
Okay, so can we have a motion and a second to continue this?
Motion to continue. Second.
Okay. Let's call the roll here. Commissioner Baker,
Aye.
Commissioner Christian,
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Helene,
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobs.
Aye.
The chair is in agreement, so we'll continue this to next month. And Mr. Kurgowski, please work with the Office of Community
Will do.
Development. Thank you. All right. Okay. And that next meeting, is it May? Oh, he's gone. Okay, when's the next meeting?
Hold on a second, I have
Let
it.
me look here. Just for the record, the next meeting is, that would be May 3rd.
Yep, May 3rd.
Okay, so do we have the, regarding the next, moving on. Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 13, the conservation of Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will open the hearing for request of determination of applicability, BAC Properties LLC, 549 and 555 Westminster Street, underground utility trench for rooftop solar array. This was continued from the March meeting. Do we have anyone to speak?
I do not see anyone online.
Let me check with,
Oh, wait a minute, there's, okay, yep, Stephen Gregory.
oh, okay. Thank you, Mr. Bowles. Mr. Gregory?
Okay, he's available.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. My name is Steve Gregory. I'm with Select Energy Development out of Hopkinton, Mass. We were before you last month with two requests for determination of applicability for 549 Westminster and 555 Westminster, the BAC properties. I had originally worked with Michael O'Hara before he left the Fitchburg because there are two short underground trenches from our proposed rooftop solar at both addresses to an overhead utility pole. And because it falls within the riverfront management area, Michael believed that an RDA was in order. And then at last month's meeting, the commission requested a letter from the environmental consultant that oversaw the cleanup when the property was owned by Weyerhaeuser several years ago, which we did submit that letter a few weeks ago. And I believe that addresses the concerns the commission had. The proposed trenching is not within the previous mitigation area.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Let's open the floor for public comment. Would anyone like to speak in favor of or against this hearing, or would you like to request more information? We don't have anyone in the in person here. Do we have anyone on remote who would like to speak?
I don't see anyone at this time.
As hearing none from, thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. Hearing none from the public, let's turn to the commission. Do we have any questions from the commissioners in person or remote?
Yes.
Dr. Baker?
Thank you. I was the person that suggested that we needed to check to make sure that there weren't going to be any contaminated soils in these trenches. And having read the letter from Martin Lebo, I'm satisfied that the applicant has addressed that, and I think there's not a concern there.
Thank you, Dr. Baker.
I visited the site today. I'd like to make a motion of negative determination.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, Commissioner Baker,
Aye.
Commissioner Christian,
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Helene,
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobs,
Aye.
Commissioner Satterfield, aye. So motion passes, a negative determination of applicability, BAC properties. So do we have something to sign?
If you didn't, I brought some just in case.
Thank you.
And then you just have to fill it in online, the other. We'll start with Tracy. I know with Harlan not being here, I wasn't sure. Just start there, Tracy, and send it down. Oh, just make sure I have, so she'll know which one it is. Yep, Westminster Street. Okay.
Thank you for your assistance on this. Appreciate it.
It's always nice to hear from Dr. Lebo.
Yes, he seems to be a very knowledgeable individual.
So the chair closes the hearing for the determination of applicability, BAC Properties LLC, 549 and 555 Westminster Street. Okay. And are you sticking around for the next one, Mr. Gregory? See,
I will drop off. Appreciate the opportunity to address the commission tonight. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay. Good night, Mr. Gregory. Under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 13, Section 40, the Fitchburg Conservation Commission will open the hearing for request of determination of applicability, Solect Energy Development, 140 Arnhouse Farm Road, Fitchburg High School, installation of 3 solar canopies over a portion of the parking areas in the riverfront.
Tracy, I'd like to report myself.
Thank you. Let the record show that Commissioner Christian is recusing himself. Who do we have to speak to this?
There is the engineer is online. Mr. Picciotto? I don't know how we unmute him. He's there, but I'm not seeing him. Oh, there he goes. Okay, they're on.
Good evening, members of the board. Jose Picciotto.
Yeah, they are now. Thank you.
There's 2.
Yeah.
According to Mr. Bolek, there are 2 people. Okay.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board. I'm Jose Picciotto with Green Seal Environmental, representing the applicant. I'm wondering if there is a way that I can share screen.
It's up. What does he want to share?
He wants to share his screen.
Okay. I can get out, and Daniel can put him in.
Mr. Picciotto will be rejoining as a panelist, and he'll have the ability to share his screen.
Okay.
Members of the board, can you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so basically what we're going to be doing is the installation of 3 solar canopies on 2 distinct project areas already constructed within the buffer zones and with no additional impact to the existing regulated areas. So this screen right now is project area number 1, and the red line here represents the 100-foot buffer from the B series of wetlands. As you can see, the only portion of the solar canopy, it's going to be 5 footings and a very small portion of the overhead. On the opposite side, this red line also represents a 100-foot buffer from the vegetated wetland. And the solar canopy is entirely outside. However, the trenches, the electrical trench going to the building will cross the buffer, but again, within already developed area, not creating any additional impacts. Project area number 2, the solar canopy will be installed at the center of the existing parking lot, similar to the other one. However, on this case, we do have a riverfront from an unnamed stream. This blue line represents the 100-foot from the mean high water, and the second blue line represents the 200-foot from the riverfront. The red line will be the 100 feet from the BBW, that side. And again, the only work within the parking lot will be the installation of the footings. Those footings are going to be, on both cases, 3 feet diameter by 10 foot deep. And that is pretty much it. Both projects will not be creating any additional impact to the pre-existing buffers. If the board has any question, I will be happy to answer this.
Thank you, Mr. Picardo. Do we have anyone anyone from the public in person who would like to speak? I see no. Also let the record show that Commissioner Helene has also recused themselves, but we have no one in person that would like to speak. Do we have anyone in the remote attendance that would like to speak? I'm seeing a no from Commissioner Jacobs. So hearing none from the public, let's turn to the commission. Do we have any questions for Mr. Pichardo? Commissioner Donnelly?
A couple of comments. City of Fitchburg, not too recently, hired an architect to design a school in the image and the interests of the residents of the city of Fitchburg. And that architect laid out, no doubt, the landscape, the height of the building, the width, the roof slope, the exterior facade, all of it absent solar array. And, well, we paid for their expertise, and this is in stark contrast to what they sold us. Are we sure that's where we want to go? And then the other interest is, from a conservation standpoint, any and all vegetation that was planned for the parking lots that will be lost to the solar array be replaced within or without the Conservation Commission's boundary jurisdiction.
Mr. Picardo?
Yeah, so all plantings that will be removed from the islands, they are going to be relocated on site. So the school is going to weigh in there and work together to determine what's the most strategic place to relocate them.
Could we have a plan that reflects that relocation?
Oh yes. So, and just as an additional information, this project from here, it's not going to go to the building department for construction. We need a special permit and site plan review with the planning board, which is coming next. So at that time, your agent will be able to see those plans and compare with whatever determination you made tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Smith, Mr. Erickson, are there any comments or questions you have?
Nick has his hand up.
Mr. Erickson?
Thank you very much. I don't have any particular questions on the plan. I think they've provided some erosion control details for the trenching work, and overall the canopy seems to be over existing impervious area, so I don't think it's going to change the runoff characteristics of the site. But I need to look at the plans a little bit more closely, and I'll definitely be doing that during the site plan review phase of the project as well. But as far as what's being presented tonight, it looks like they've done a good job of summarizing everything in this plan set.
Thank you, Mr. Erickson. Mr. Smith?
Yeah, so the applicant talked about the plantings in the landscaped islands. What about outside the parking lot? Will there be any trees that need to be taken down because they'll be in shade, or they'll cause shade to the solar array?
No, there would not be any tree removal outside of the parking area. So the scope of the entire project will be within the already disturbed area, not anything additional.
Okay, so how will the solar panels drain? And I know I've heard where this was done in another location that it became very problematic because the solar arrays would snow snow would go on top of the solar arrays, it would melt, it would cause ice to form, icicles, and the icicles would fall down on the cars and damage the cars. Where's the water going to go when it goes on the solar panels? Is there space in between the panels, or does the water just run all to the rear of the parking lot? And if so, are the panels over the parking lot, so the drainage from the solar arrays drains onto the parking lot and then goes into the drainage system of the parking lot? Or conversely, does the water flow off the panels and into the area around the grassy area around the parking lot?
Okay, so basically, the canopy and the solar array does not modify any portions of the watershed. And yes, the panels will have a gap in between. It's about a 1-inch gap all around. So each panel is basically under 35 square feet. So it's not enough to concentrate any runoff. So it will go through the gaps and direct to the ground and follow the existing topography of the parking lot. There's a gap over here. You can see that in between. So that's all around each panel.
Okay.
It's similar to the analogy of if you think about trees with canopies with leaves. So water hits the leaves and continue its way. It's very similar to that.
Jose, is there another installation that exists that you can point to that's similar to this, to what's proposed, so that the commission could look at? Is this the first of this type, of this design, or are there others around?
No, we've done many. I can name one, the Fuller Middle School in Framingham, that was permitted and constructed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we want to continue this until the site plan review happens with this, Mr. Erickson? Or do we want to make a determination of applicability?
And I would be prepared to make a motion to request a negative determination motion pending Commissioner Erickson's advisory.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yeah. So motion for a negative determination on this applicant.
Second.
Commissioner Donnelly?
The planning board has yet to weigh in.
Do you want us to wait?
So we have a motion on the table.
That's fine. That was just a comment, nothing more.
Okay.
Do you have any pictures of a finished project?
I don't have an exact picture, but I can show you something that looks similar. What it's going to be.
You folks probably know that there's a large series of the similar arrays over the parking lot at Haywood Hospital in Gardner.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the new Mass DOT District 3 building in Worcester.
This one actually is on Stone Zoo. Supposed to be on Stone Zoo.
Okay, we have a motion on the table.
And there was a second.
And a second. Okay, so let's call the roll for a negative determination of applicability pending the site plan review. Commissioner Baker?
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly?
Pending the site plan review, aye.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Aye.
Commissioner Serfield votes in favor. So we're pending the site plan review. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. We appreciate the time.
We can sign this next month. I mean, pending the
To the
site
site plan review, so you want to hold off on this so
Yeah, I
that we
think
can
we
get it
probably
ready and then
should.
it'll be ready to sign? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're doing now.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Picardo. Thank you, Mr. Picardo.
Thank you all.
Okay, moving forward, we've got under other business, violations and enforcement orders, 170 Arnhow Farm Road. Joyce, would you like to speak to that?
Well, actually, I think you probably have more to add than I do at this point. Just to update everyone, we did send out a notice to the new property owners that there was a violation on their property and asked them to attend the meeting tonight to discuss that. And Chairwoman did speak to them because the property owner did come.
Yes, the property owners did come to the meeting and requested an interpreter, which we were not able to plan for. So we will plan to, Liz has got their information so we can communicate with them to have an interpreter available for our next meeting and also for a site visit. I have a site visit. Are we having a site visit for this in the meantime?
Yes, if we can, we should try and schedule the site visit so that when they come in at the next meeting, we'll be able to discuss our findings.
Okay, let's look at the site visit. Liz has, let's maybe, well, what about Saturday the 28th? Does that look, because the meeting is on Wednesday.
I mean, that would, I think that would give us time to coordinate with her and to make sure that our interpreter is available, and then have that visit before your next meeting, so.
Okay.
Saturday, the 29th, Madam Chair?
Is that the 29th? I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't have my glasses. I'm sorry.
It's
So we'll do
April
that on the
20 Saturday, April 29th.
29th, how about 9 a.m.?
Perfect.
And we'll meet at 170 Arnhow Farm Road. So 4/29, 9 a.m. And
Mike, does that work for you?
Yeah, I wrote it down. I just had a comment. I would hope it's included in the minutes that they showed up, and there was no interpreter available. And so my question, which can also be included, whose responsibility is the interpreter? The violator or the CONSCOM?
I can only speak from what I know about municipal government, that it's our responsibility as the city
And
to provide that interpreter.
And not knowing that we needed one, there was no expectation that we'd have one. Whose responsibility is it to inform the Conservation Commission that an interpreter is required?
That's the applicant's responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's more than a conversation. I hope we can include this in the minutes.
Mike, I can respond to that a little bit. The letter that we sent to them normally would have said to call the office and speak to the conservation agent. In the interim, there's no conservation agent. I guess we could have said call Liz, or now we can have them maybe call Chantel. But in that time frame, we said, then just come to the meeting. So if they had been able to make contact prior to the meeting, we may have had knowledge that they needed an interpreter sooner. And if Liz is okay with that, we can have them if we need to in the interim, call Liz or Chantel.
We have their information now, so we can get a hold of them.
Yeah.
Okay. 46 Sheldon Road, we have an update?
We do have an update, and I will try, this has changed several times over the past month since our last meeting. Right after our March meeting, actually, I spoke to Mia McDonald at Mass DEP. She called with an update of where we are. They have been unable at this point to locate Mr. Adams. He seems to have sort of gone underground or made himself inaccessible to, as we know, we've had the same issues trying to get him to respond. The LLC that controlled the companies has expired, so that does not exist anymore. The real estate listing that was in place for the sale of the property through the previous agent has no longer, that's expired, that's been withdrawn. Mr. Adams apparently, to avoid both us and Mass DEP, has not been conducting any business in his name. He's using a person named Leanne Roy, who he's worked with in the past. She's a paralegal. She's worked for about 6 different firms in the past 2 years. She's actually has her name on some of the documents, the purchase of the farmhouse at Sheldon Road. She's worked with them for some time. So they've been trying to follow that angle a little bit. So at this point in time, Mass DEP did not have any success with actually contacting Mr. Adams and finding out where his physical location is at this time. She did have a request that what we do is try and tie up the property even a little bit more than it is already. She wanted us to meet with the treasurer's office and flag that property, so if anybody comes in and pays any of the tax liens that are there, that Community Development and Planning would be notified via, and then the Conservation Commission would be notified who paid it, where did the check come from, those kind of things. I did that. On March 7th, I met with the city treasurer, and she already flagged the property, so that's been done. To that end, also, Chantal and Mike O'Hara were working in the office, and we flagged the property through the open government system, the OpenGov system that all the departments use, so that if somebody applies for a building permit, somebody comes in looking for any information about what they can do with that property, that's going to come up, so other city departments are going to be involved. The other thing that she wants us to do, and we will get to that, is she wants us to register the enforcement order on the deed of 46 Sheldon Street. Now, we know that that in most cases is not a recommended step, but this is an exceptional case. So as soon as I finish my updating, I will make a motion that we get a check so that we can register the documents. Commissioner Donnelly is, when that's ready, he's going to go to the registry and he has all the documents to do the registration. So again, between the treasurer, between the city government, between the enforcement order being registered on the deeds, if he shows up or anybody shows up somewhere, they try to do anything with the property, somebody's going to know about it, and thus Mass DEP will be notified. Now, to that end, there was a new real estate agent on the 30th of March that stopped in and spoke to Chantal and Mike O'Hara. Her name is Michelle Matthews. She's from Lair Realty Partners, actually in Leominster. She's now listed as the real estate agent on the property. They had a whole conversation with her about notifying her there is an enforcement order in this, there's a tax lien on this property, there is a lot going on. She is now aware of that, and they are having questions about whether or not this lot is buildable anymore, because the access, as we all know, is only through a wetland, because that's the piece that he left off of Sheldon Road to get there. Not our problem. That's the way that they divvied up that piece. So anyway, the new real estate agent is well aware that there is an enforcement order on this property, and I don't know if Chantal, you spoke to her, I don't know if she was kind of filling anybody out as to whether or not we would the commission would even consider allowing them access through the wetland for a buildable parcel?
We talked to her and we indicated that it would be very, very difficult to build out the parcel of land, considering the egress had wetlands, and not to mention all the work that would have to be done onto the parcel. She kind of left the office discouraged, and that's kind of how that conversation went.
So everybody's well aware of what's going on. So right now, what I would like to do is propose a motion. The fee at the registry, Northern Worcester County Registry of Deeds, is $105. So we would request a check from the conservation funds for $105 to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Motion on the table?
Motion seconded.
Okay, let's call the roll. Commissioner Baker?
Aye.
Commissioner Christian?
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Helene?
I'm sorry. What is the fee for? I apologize.
It's okay, Mary. This has to do with 46 Sheldon Road.
Right. I'm up to speed on the lot, but not, that was just kind of thrown in. What is the fee covering?
To register, to record the enforcement order on the deed. So
okay. Okay. Yes. All right. No problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Jacobs?
Aye.
Commissioner Satterfield? Aye. So motion passes.
And we will, Mass DEP is going to continue to, every so often, they do their follow-ups, their checks, if anybody knows anything. I forwarded the information about the new realtor on to Mass DEP. She was going to call her also, so everybody is in the loop as to where we stand. I don't know if anybody else has any questions about the status of this violation. Commissioner Donnelly?
Where and when can I pick up a check?
So we'll submit the invoice request for the check. It will get onto next week's warrant, and then the check will be issued the following Friday. So that would be, let me look. So it should be the 21st of April that the check is ready. Unfortunately, we kind of missed getting invoices in for this week, so I can't submit it until, I mean, I could submit it, but it's not going to get processed till next week.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see. We've got Dr. Baker. Would you like to speak to the Fitchburg Municipal Vulnerability Project Action Grant?
Thank you, I will. I'd love to. So I'm now speaking on behalf of the National River Watershed Association, on whose board I serve. And I'm spearheading a municipal vulnerability preparedness grant, action grant application, which the city of Fitchburg, in the person of Commissioner Erickson, has agreed to serve as the lead applicant for. The name of the project is Nashua River Watershed Natural Solutions Action Project, and we will be working to identify conceptual nature-based solutions to climate impacts on public and private properties within the Nashua River watershed to mitigate climate impacts, as I said, and the communities that are going to be involved are Fitchburg, Leominster, Groton, Pepperell, and Ashburnham in this stage, but the deliverables will be applicable throughout the watershed. And as the letter that I've drafted, which it's a letter of support that I'm hoping the Commission will agree to have somebody sign on our behalf, will basically say that the project is a good one and you wish to support it. So I've given a copy of the letter to Joyce. And I had given it to Herlin, but she didn't put it in the package for some reason.
Ralph, I made copies and I just distributed to all here.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Joyce. So I'm happy to answer any questions, but basically it would be a 2-year project. We will be particularly trying to identify through community engagement and public meetings places where these kinds of measures would be beneficial to reduce flooding, reduce stormwater, increase the climate resilience of various locations, and provide measures such as plantings, maybe pocket forests or canopy trees that will reduce urban heat island effects. We will potentially put in some bioretention swales to limit the amount of stormwater runoff that goes into streams and rivers and promote infiltration and that sort of thing. I don't want to belabor this too long, but it's a lot of greenscaping, and possibly, in some towns it might involve culvert replacements and dam removals, rain gardens, and that sort of thing. So I hope you will support this grant application that the NRWA is preparing and that the city of Fitchburg would be submitting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Baker.
I have to recuse myself, obviously, because I'm wearing a different hat, though I don't stand to personally benefit from this project.
Let the record show that Dr. Baker has chosen to recuse himself. Do we have a motion and a second to sign this letter of support from the commission?
The language submitted, motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Baker has recused himself. Commissioner Christian?
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Helene?
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Aye.
The chair says aye. So that passes. Thank you, Dr. Baker. Please keep us
Thank you all.
updated on how we can support, how else we can support you.
Yeah, there might be opportunities
Just a question.
if we're awarded the grant. Thank you.
Go ahead, Liz.
Who should sign the letter?
I'm happy to sign it. I usually do sign these kinds of things as chair, but if you want to, what I usually do when Nick asks me for these, I sign my name and then I put all our names underneath it.
Great. So we can prepare the letter on
Yeah, just tell me.
on city letterhead, or on the city or conservation letterhead? Conservation letterhead,
Conservation
correct?
letterhead.
Okay. And then if I could ask Ralph, when you need that letter by?
By the 21st, if possible.
Okay. All right, so plenty of time to.
Yeah, just let me know when it's ready. I'll come and sign it.
Great.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Baker.
Thank you.
Moving on, we've got Unitil test pits near Nashua River Sawyer Passway. Who's going to speak to that?
I'm not sure what that is. It was on the agenda, and so when we reviewed it, we didn't want to take it off because I didn't know if there was something else or...
Do we know anything about
I don't know anything about this.
No,
I'm sorry.
us neither. So I think that's kind of an old item that might have not just gotten removed.
it? Okay. So we'll strike that from the agenda. And that being said, is there anything else anyone would like to add for correspondence? Or can we get a motion and a second to adjourn the regular meeting of the April 5th, 2023 Fitchburg Conservation Commission?
Motion to adjourn?
This second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Commissioner Baker?
Aye.
Commissioner Christian?
Aye.
Commissioner Donnelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Helene?
Aye.
Commissioner Jacobs?
Aye.
And the chair approves. The chair says aye, so the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much for your commitment to public service. Mr. Donnelly?
April 30 is...